Hello, hello, everyone. It is my pleasure. Now, in usual universities, they don't know nothing about anything like this. Come on now, guys. Give His Excellency the car a hand for finding these songs that just personify, they hit you hard, and it's part of our culture. It's just amazing. Well, we have masterclass today that is going to talk about fatherhood. The state of fatherhood is our community. So as fatherhood goes, so does the African American community. Glenn Warren, as a single parent who has raised 3 children to adulthood, he understands the power and the necessity of fathers being a contributing positive presence in the lives of their children. He's a retired social worker, counselor with 25 years of experience dealing with people with mental illness, depression, suicidal thoughts, substance abuse, and other issues. He is a certified coach in terms of co-parenting from Alliance Coaching. He's a sought after motivational speaker because of his ability to communicate with folks. He has done this through his writing and telling of short stories. He's a published author of over 31 short stories. He's just absolutely wonderful. He's written several books. He is just an outstanding man of God. As a founder and executive director of 501c3 nonprofit Fathers Forever, we bring to you today none other than Dr. That's right, I said it, Dr. Glenn Warren.
Greetings. I want to get to know that fellow. Greetings. I just wanted to give honor to the Chancellor Diane Eubanks. I have really, since I met you, Zoom and on the phone the last 6 months, I must say in the last 2 months, it's really been gone up a level. And then the last 3 days, it's off the roof. I mean, it's off the chain. I really appreciate my life has changed. I'm seeing some results already. And I thank you for the opportunity and the platform. I came dragging and screaming, but I'm here now. And I tell you what, I'm reaping the benefits already. So I just wanted to give you my gratitude and my thanks to you and your team. And I will be talking to your daughter about the elevator speech and the other things that I would love for her to help me with, as you as well, Jakar, with the marketing. So we're gonna do it all. But anyway, I really appreciate it. I guess I need to get enough about me. I really thank you for the opportunity of giving that platform. And I do want to say that anything you need for me to do, Dr. Eubanks, in the area of fatherhood to help guide you, I'll do it. Just let me know what it is.
And guess what? Please set up your 10-minute talk with me, because the day after graduation, I start looking at people through the spirit and giving assignments. I see you as a teacher. I see you as a motivator. I see you as an assistant dean here at GODSU over our fatherhood program. And the person who really pushed me to just take all breaks off is Dr. Willis. He told me, says, look here, doctor, guys, this guy has to be a doctor. I said, but he's not on time with turning in this turn. He says, don't. Said, Dr. Diane, I'm gonna have to take the lead on this. He got to get in. And so he made Angela, he made myself, he made everybody stop everything and just pull you kicking and screaming with your wife behind you, pushing you forward. So, I really want to give some credit to him, because he made sure that that we pulled all stops out to get you here.
Well, thank you so much for me. And I'm sure one day I get to meet y'all in person. And I really, really would love to do that in the middle of all this COVID. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And August the 7th, we're all flying to Washington, D.C. For the GODSU meet and greet. So, definitely fly, drive, please come. So because this is about the men, I am going to leave His Excellency the car here, so he'll take care of you, and I'm gonna let the men talk.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Greetings, fellas. I think I met several of you guys on the Zoom, on the chat before today, a couple of yesterday and the day before. But anyway, as we start talking about the state of fatherhood in our community today, we're gonna ask a couple questions and let everybody kind of evaluate, talk about and give me their perspective, our perspective of what you think the state of fatherhood is. I don't have you guys' bio in front of me, so I'm gonna ask each one of you to introduce yourself, and then we're gonna go on with the questions. First question which is the title: what is you think the state of fatherhood is in our community? So before you answer that question, just give us a quick bio, who you are, and then you answer the question. So I think we're going to start. I'll ask the question first, and then you guys just take turn. I'm not going to pick anybody, so necessarily just take turn and one after another until we get that question. Then we'll go to the next question. Next question, which is the question is, what do you think the state of fatherhood is in our community today? And again, the first person get a quick bio, and then the rest of you guys answer that question.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for allowing me on this panel today. My name is Sydney Menifee Chaplin. I'm a chef. I'm developing 2 podcasts. One is going to be called Sid's Way. That's going to be the food. And then second one is for young kids, especially males. It's going to be called Life Experiences. So those should be launching that towards the end of the year, beginning of next year. As far as that I know and what I can see from just other people, like maybe in the church or family members, I can see that the fathers are trying to be better. I can see that they're actually absorbing what's in the atmosphere as far as where the kids nowadays are confused. They don't know exactly who they are. And I believe that there's an awakening. I feel that there is an awakening. You can either be silent or you can choose to help. And you can see a need that's there. I think it reminds me of when it says it takes a village to raise a child. So that's where I'm seeing a lot of fathers start to step up. I mean, it's few and in between, but as long as I can see the increase, I'm starting to feel better about where, as Black men, we are headed, and just males in general, but especially Black men. And I see a lot more accountability by fathers as well in the community. So I'm seeing them start to shift and apologize, whether they apologize when they're 19, 20, or 60 years of age. I'm seeing them change their life, their own life. So I think that's part of walking closer with God. I think a lot of people are starting to check in with themselves to see, am I doing anything right by God? Am I trusting him? Am I praying to figure out what can I do to change these children's lives? And I think that's where the increase is coming at, especially when I look at, just different communities and different people. Now, I'm not going to lie, there is still some men that are not even close, but that's why I believe we have GODSU. And that's why I believe we have men like us to communicate, because it has to be first said before we can address it. And by that question, we are addressing it.
Yes, sir. Okay, cool. Thanks, sir. Very, very insightful. Dr. John.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Warren. I'm happy to be your panelist and also to answer the question in the best of my ability. Thank you so much. I'm Reverend Dr. John Osareren, a chaplain and GODSU board member. I'm so grateful. And as far as this question is concerned, I would like to trace it to the Bible, the scriptures, where we know about the prodigal son and then his father. A time came when the prodigal son realized something. He realized that he has messed up. He has departed from the standard of the father. It's no more royal as supposed to be. He thought about it and decided to go home. See, so when he decided to go home, something happened. There was a shift in the realm of the spirit. So when you look at the community today, except somehow there is a repentance in the heart of those that are rebellious, that shift will not happen. But for those that are already royal and they are in the house and obedient to their father, the father is the key, and love that binds them together is key. Now, just look at what happened. When the prodigal son started to go home, he started going home. There was a touch, either by the Holy Spirit to the father, informing the father that your son is coming home. The father left the home out of love and started going towards the son. What happened? They met on the road at the center, and then there was a celebration. This is fatherhood. This is love, practical love demonstration of a father. Just like Jesus and God, the Father, an example. So to start this, I'm saying that there is that bond between the Father and the Son, which is inherent. And then there is that purpose between the Father and the Son, which is also key. So all these have to work together with the help of love to bring us together as a community and bring us together as a family. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, sir. I want to say hello to Dr. Willis. I see you joined us.
Well, thank you.
Your
Glad to be here. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll get to you next too as well. That question. I know you're not part of the panel, but I would love to get your insight on this. On this question. You. Yeah. So now we're going to go on to Dr. Dean Charles. I'll repeat the question again. What do you think? What do you think the state of fatherhood is in our community today?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Again, I remain humbled and extremely appreciative of all that the platform that GODSU has provided. And, you know, I am a childcare professional. I also dabble into the development space. So I find expression in curating programs that result in improved human capacity. So I would say, and this is speaking from my personal experience, fatherhood in this generation, well, let me not say in this generation, even in preceding generations, in the generation of the likes of Dr. Warren and Dr. Osarenre, moved from the primary role of caregiving, life definition, goal setting, positioning children for destiny to that of provision. I don't know whether to say because of the socioeconomic situation of the world or it's a sign of the times, but looking at it from the spiritual angle, the role of fatherhood, I say this, the family unit is like a building, a physical house. The mother is the walls of the building. The children are the furniture of the building that beautifies the home, but the father is the roof over the house, the roof and the truss. Now, just like a physical building, without a roof, it's useless, it is baseless, it lacks structure. So a lot of times, yes, we know the foundation of a building is extremely important, but the foundation of the family is like Christ, it is God. So that is there, that is eternal. However, the roof of the building is equally as important as the foundation. Because if the roof is faulty or it is not there, nothing in the building has proper definition. Nothing in the building can have proper use. So that the role of the father, first of all, is to give a name to the child. And not just a name, but a definition. A name is like a prophecy. So the father prophesies the life of the child into being by naming the child, by charting the course, by setting the child on the path that he should go. However, and I would say this is the greatest war of the kingdom of darkness against humanity is an attack on the family. And this attack on the family finds its greatest expression by removing the father. Either through death, either through absence. So what we find is a lot of human beings have what we call in child psychology, a daddy wound. Now, the physical absence of a father in the life of a child distorts a lot about the life of that individual, but it is not immediately or critically observed, unlike when a mother is not present in the life of a child. Now, research has shown people do better in life when they didn't have a mother growing up than those who did not have a father growing up. So what are we saying? A father, essentially, fatherhood is about taking a child and positioning them in the world to achieve destiny and purpose. However, the rush for provision, which is also a part of what fatherhood entails, has superseded the primary role of fatherhood, which is to give definition and life and direction to the child. So that's the problem we have in this generation. Fathers are now more concerned about providing bread for the home than it takes them out of the home. And you see a lot of people growing up without that father figure, without a relationship with their dad, and it wounds them to the core of their souls. And this is why young men have very great difficulty navigating healthy and balanced relationships with women, with other men, and with their children. And this cycle of doom continues. The daddy wound moves from generation to generation to generation. In summary, I know someone who is an excellent human being, a very kind man, but he's going through an ugly divorce. What is the problem? The wife is saying, he's not there for me. He's not there. He's not emotionally available. He's abusive emotionally. But he keeps saying, I'm a good father, I'm a good husband, because I provide everything my family needs. So because he grew up with a father who was more interested in providing than being there and present emotionally. So that's the dynamic of the transition of what fatherhood means.
Thank you. That was excellent. You said so much there. I mean, you can, you really expounded on that. So thank you. We're going to get back to some of that you said already. Okay, Dr. Chaplain.
Yeah, when we talk about the state of a fatherhood, number one, a father is a source, and number two, a father have a direct impact on their children's future.
Yes.
Most fathers, I don't call some people fathers because they, particularly who left their responsibility being a father and their children become on the streets, I don't call such men fathers. A father must have a direct impact on their children's future. That's number two. Number three, families are strengthened by the supporting of fathers. Now, without a father, there is no order in a family. There's no discipline in a family. That's why when sometimes a child is misbehaving, then the mother will be saying something and the child will just, not responding or not giving a respect to the mother. Immediately see the father coming, the child begin to put himself in order and begin to show off like, a respected child. So I think a fatherhood or the state of a fatherhood is very important in a reason by saying that without a father being at home or in the family, the house or the family is incomplete. It's very, very incomplete. Without a father, nations are not built. Without a father, there is no respect at home. Father disciplines their children most of time, more than their mothers, So for me, I believe that the state of a fatherhood must be implemented in every family, in nations, in every part of the world. That will put disciplines into our society. Like one of the example, our former president, President J.J. Rawlings, whilst he was alive, may his soul rest in peace, he put out a discipline to fathers who have left their responsibility being a father. So it has really brought a lot of children back home where because the fathers know very well that if I don't do my responsibility, I'm going to be disciplined by this former president who has been a military, before he became a president. So I think the last thing I would say is that our fatherhood stage is very, very important, not just to talk about it, but to implement it and to make it very effective in our society by setting an example for the other fathers to follow. Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm done. Thank you.
Kind of led me into the segue. I'm gonna answer that question as well. I'll give you guys an opportunity. But you know, in my opinion, fatherhood is the foundation to our society. The late great Dr. Miles Monroe said it so beautifully in his teaching about fatherhood. If you guys haven't heard his teaching about fatherhood, I would encourage you to go to his website. And you know, he's passed away, but his work still goes on. And when read some of his stuff about fatherhood, it's good stuff. It's good information. But you know, out of man, God said, "Let us create man in our own image." So God took man, right? And then out of man, he created the woman. Out of the woman, we got a family now. So the family create neighborhoods. Neighborhoods create communities. Communities create lots of communities, create cities. Cities create states. Well, if we got a problem in our state, we need to go back to the community. If we got a problem in our community, we need to go back to the neighborhood. If we got issues and problems in our neighborhood, we got to go back to the family. If we got problems in our family, we got to go back to where it all began, which is the father. So if there is a breach in the foundation of fatherhood, then there's going to be a breach all the way through. So how do you fix the breach in the foundation of fatherhood, which is, in my opinion, there is a breach, and we have to repair this, and it can be repaired. There's certain things that we got to do, but it's the foundation has been compromised, but it hasn't been compromised just in our generation. It started a long time ago. In fact, it started in Moses' day. So the king said, you know, they was killing all the little baby boys. So they just start with us. Fatherhood has been on attack for generations to come. Even in Jesus' day, what did they do? They killed the two little, you know, the little boys under 2 years old. Because there's always been an attack on fatherhood. When you get to the book of Revelations, the same kind of thing then. The mark of the beast was coming to the man. You know, if I could just, you know, bite the heel of the man. And so when Jesus crushed his head, so fatherhood has been attacked from day one. And so what we have to do as a community is find out, which you get into the next question. And I want Dr. Willis to chime in on this as well as what he sees the state of fatherhood is. And then we're going to get into another question is, how can we improve the state of fatherhood and make it better for our society? So Dr. Willis.
Well, I want to say it's an honor and a pleasure to be among this great panelists, really great thoughts and ideas, and really thank everyone for their contributions. We can all learn from each other. I always believe that you're never too old to learn and you're never too young to teach. And so I appreciate everybody pouring out their heart. You know, this is fatherhood, and everybody, you're absolutely right about fatherhood being attacked. And until we get that back in place, we're going to, I think, still have some of the problems that we're facing right now, especially mass murders in America. I think fatherhood is at the center of that. You know, they've done studies where they found that 80%, 90% of those kids have bad relationships, and it's mostly men with their fathers. You know, I'm named after my father, and we've had some issues because he didn't have a good relationship with his father. So he repeated that bad pattern to me, but I said I'm going to stop. Okay, I'm going to stop. And God bless him. He's a wonderful person. He can be. But he's not a good father. He did not get the proper training. His father, he was one of 35 kids. Wow. My father's the oldest at 82, and he has brothers going down, I believe, like 35, right? Wow. So his father was not a good father. And so I would say start there. About 5 years ago, I had an opportunity to go to this wonderful church I was invited by the assistant principal, female, to come. She actually did speak as well. And I tell you, I wish that had been recorded. I hope that they do it again, but they talked about fatherhood. I said, my goodness, here it is, but 10, maybe not even 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, I'm in my 50s, early 50s, and I'm learning from the people that are on the show. One of the things that I think as fathers, yes, there's a lot of pressure on the provision side that everybody talked about, and that's great. You're right about that. But it's actually easier to be a father than you really give yourself credit. I think a lot of times, in fact, my 15-year-old asked me to volunteer at the PTA and the school advisor committee, SAC. And one of the things I learned from the principal, he's a Jewish man, Dr. Leff, he said, a lot of guys don't realize, but just your presence,
Yes.
so much. You don't even have to say anything. You don't have to direct policy. And I think we men put on ourselves that if we get involved in the school, we got to affect policy. We got to be a leader. No, just your presence. I have lunch, just having lunch.
Yes.
My daughter, that's bragging rights. The guys are, oh my God, your father came, my father didn't. Your mother came, my mother did, and so that sets a really good way of doing relationships, especially early on. Yes. The assistant principal also mentioned that she was, she's a divorcee and now she's remarried. And early on, as was mentioned earlier, the woman created a real bad atmosphere during the divorce. She didn't allow the kids to really develop a relationship with the father. Everything about the father was bad, And she said she was part of that, but she's changed. And she said lots of times, especially when they're under 12, taking them to a park is free. You don't have to spend $20 for a movie, right? Go to a park, kick a ball around, throw something, just interacting, letting the kids see my dad loves me because he wants to spend time with me, So these are just some of my observations, and I'm still learning. And if we ever, like I said, that church put on a wonderful presentation. We had fathers from 18 to 90. And I tell you, at times there wasn't a dry eye in there because we all are learning from each other, and we need to get back to the fundamentals of what fatherhood is like. And I'm trying my best with this young man, to raise him to be a good father, and I know he will. I know he will.
Yes.
So with that being said, I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing here.
Yes.
And I'll just make one more reflection. You never know where you're going to get information. My brother, at 55, got married for the first time. He married a beautiful person inside and out. And I told him in front of don't mess it up because you got a good woman. Okay, the Bible says, right? So you got a good woman there. She's a good thing. So don't mess it up because I know she's not going to mess it up. Okay,
Right.
But I went to get my tux, and I got a bit of wisdom from this guy who's Cuban American, and he was saying that where was the father when this guy in Texas killed his grandmother?
Yes.
He didn't do it while his grandfather was there because he had a lot of respect for his grandfather. But as soon as the grandfather left, he killed his grandmother, and then he went on to murder
20 kids.
The kids and the teachers, right?
Yes.
So he made a really good point. Where was the father?
Right.
And so anyway, I just wanted to give that thought because, I didn't think about that. But in all these situations, we're having a fatherless, or we have bad relationships with the murderer and the father.
Yes. You said something very, very powerful. I talked to a lot of men, Dr. Eubanks and the panelists, and I've been doing this for 14 years, and I got 1,000 stories, and so we can talk about that. But one of the things that I push back on when the guys tell me I grew up without my dad, that's the reason I can behave the way I behave, and I want to no, I refuse to believe that. So I set them up. We have one of the classes. We list what kind of father do you want your grandson to have, and what kind of father do you don't want your grandson to have? So we listed on the board what is a good father to your grandson? And the guys list them. We want him to be working, have a good job, not abusive, supporting his kids, being nice to his mom. They go on and on and on and on and on. Then I list on the other side, tell me what would be a bad dad that you don't that would be bad for your grandson to have. And they'll tell me irresponsible, a drug dealer, not working, abusive to the mom, abusive to the kid. So after about halfway down there, they realize what I'm doing. I'm setting them up because you just told me what a good dad should be. So don't tell me you don't know what a good dad should be, because you do know. And when they say, I wasn't fathered, so they give me a right to be disrespectful, and because I don't have a father myself, we don't play those games, because I want to realize that you know what it is to be a good father. You just got to do it and stop making excuses. So, which kind of lead into the next question. What are some of the things that we can do as leaders, as men that are onto this fatherhood initiative? What can we do to improve fatherhood in our communities, and then on a level that they can shape policies? So we could do it locally, but we also have to, I think there's two problems. There's an individual problem where guys are not taking responsibility. Then there is a systemic problem which we have to address. So how do we address both of those? How do we address both of those issues and improve the state of fatherhood in our community today? So again, I'll start with Mr. Sidney. You look like you're all ready to go. Yeah, I can see your wheels are moving. So we'll start with you again, sir.
Yes, sir. My wheels was turning, but I was like, well, I'm gonna let him, you hosting it, so I'm gonna let it go as it's supposed to go. I know God is in control. So wow, that's a good question as well. The first thing is that we're not, as Black people in general, I'm just gonna put it out there as a general statement, we're not even in politics. We're not even knowing who the governor should be, or we're not looking into our own communities to find out what's going on. The biggest turnout that we've ever had, if I can be honest, is I believe when Barack Obama was president.
Yes.
As far as Black people showing up.
Yes.
And then a lot of the times they don't even know what to vote. They just go in and press the Black guy.
Yes.
So you really do got to get more involved in your community to figure out what policies is going to be for your schools.
Yes.
For different systems that's put in place, so the fathers can actually be better. I think the reason why we're I'm not gonna say deterred away from politics or deterred away from being a good father. I'm just gonna say because of the resources. We don't have enough resources, and then our fathers lack resources. So when we're looking at this panel, we're coming into agreements that there's got to be some type of change. And the first change, the only way that can happen is within thyself, and then within the community, but it's got to start with you. And so you got to know what things are you looking to see change, and give it a time date, give it a set time, even for yourself and for your community and your household. So it's got to be, I think, a lot of different components to get the wheel going, as you just said. You saw my mind turning. So it takes a lot for everybody to come together and actually implement those things. So then we have a better future for our kids and for ourselves. And there's one more thing I want to say before I close. And this is, how do I say this? In respects to anybody who on this panel or anybody listening that has lost their father, you just, there is a deep connection still, even when you do lose your father. But when you do have your father here, he's still got to be your father. Yes. And that, you could be 60, you could be, 5, you could be 14, whatever the age is, you still have to be a present father. And it's kind of what his father was speaking on, was that just going to the park, just showing up. And that's big. And I don't, I've never seen it change. Even though my father wasn't there for me when I grew up, he was incarcerated for 13 years. And then he claimed I wasn't his son. Then I made a choice to go get the DNA test because I got tired of him talking about my mom and taking me around these circles.
Gotcha.
So once I did that, it kind of made him be quiet, but he still never really apologized to me like, hey, I'm sorry for taking you through this. You are my son. It was 99.9% he was the father. So it was like, you know, we take our steps and our stones and, you know, we do our things according. And that's why I said this is a great place for you. You know, you can find healing here as well. You know, we're just not people up here just talking and sharing. We're actually giving really good depth details from experiences that we went through and also, you know, our parents and everybody else. But thank you.
Okay. All right. So I know we kind of get quenched with time. So if I do this right here, let me kind of bring it to a close, okay?
Yes,
I know
sir.
we got a couple of things I want to ask because I want to give everybody an opportunity to really chime in on it. So I think the question was again, what was the you know, actually I have my brother in the studio with me now, and we grew up in a household with my father, and he wasn't an educated man. He wasn't a rich man, you know, but he really taught us what fatherhood was like. And so as we talk about legacy, and as we talk about different things that we've been talking about, it's because of him, fatherhood. I am the man that I am today because of the things that he brought into my life. So, Dr. John, the same question.
Thank you again, Dr. Warren, and more importantly, having the presence of His Excellency Willis Willis Evans in our midst. I'm very, very grateful, and I would like to start this way because of time. I watched the presentation His Excellency Dakar brought to us concerning the child and then the father, a baby that was just born 2 minutes, and the reaction, the perception and the reaction and the communication that went on between them was so amazing. A child that is just born right now started crying because of the bitter cold or because of one thing or the other from the external environment. Then immediately the child heard the voice of the father. He cooled down. So that was the beginning. That's the beginning. That's that relationship. I say, wow, I saw it and I took it very, very firm. So that connection is there. But the question right now is, how do we improve?
Yes.
Now, how do we, there is already an attack, and then we have some issues and problems between the father and then the children. How do we improve it? See, I found out that the only way to improve a thing is to overcome the problem. When you overcome the problem, then you can now become an overcomer. So if you do not overcome it, or you don't even know what the problem is or the source of the problem, then it's going to be difficult for you to keep going on. Thank God I have been able to, I've been to so many countries. I've been to Soviet Union, Russia. But today, you see, a president is there right now. But you can see some of the things that are going on or happening even between that and that. I will not go into that right now, but that is also a father. So we have Barack Obama. Then that is also a father. And then we have those that don't even have their fathers. And God is able to use the word adoption. I am the Almighty God. So if you don't have a reference point, you don't know actually who is your father, who is the real father, then you still keep going round about it. He is our Almighty Father. We have a Father in heaven. Like me, I didn't lose my parents, but they were separated when I was born. But I kept linking it to the Almighty Father. And today I'm a chaplain and I'm a doctor, and I thank God for it because of God and because of what He has done. So now, thank God, the improvement, one thing I always say is, for those that have rebelled against their fatherhood, they need one, repentance. That is the first thing. If you don't repent, you keep going the wrong way.
Right.
Then the father too need love. Also, open mind. If you have a son, you have a daughter that has rebelled, that open mind and that love has to be there. Okay, when we heard your presence needs to be there also. Even at school, wherever, when the child is growing, another, your presence needs to be there. Because at the right hand, there is fullness of joy when your presence is there with your son or with your daughter. So that is the second one, then the present. And then thirdly, that we can use again to bring them. And I got that from Her Excellency Carol. He used the word prospective. He said deeper. He said in speaking, in using your elevator pitch, so you need to input in it a deeper relationship that will make them really embrace you or understand. So that interaction, that relationship, interacting with your child should not have that gap. If you are a father to son relationship, don't allow that gap to be there. They say if you create a gap, you give chance to the enemy to come in. That is in Corinthians. So on the whole, I want to say actually with this, close with this, that actually the father's place is key. The first institution and the first authority on earth, even before government, before anything, is Adam. Adam passed the blame to Eve. That was the first mistake.
Right.
And Eve passed the blame and gave it to the devil. That was the second mistake. And today, the devil is ruling. So we need to take it away from him, and so that we can come back to the fatherhood relationship with our children. Thank you.
To improve our fatherhood stage, one of the things that I would like to say, like I said from the beginning, from the other speech, I really want us to implement whatever we discuss, because sometimes we talk about things, but we don't do them.
Right.
My father, I don't have the opportunity to meet my father. I think I've completed school because at the middle school before, for the first time for meeting my father. He did not take care of me from my childhood to the time I completed school. But when I met him first, because being a Christian, I have learned to forgive. So I did not hold my father responsible for anything that he has done to me. I feel like it is time for me to demonstrate that love to my father, because one day I'll become a father. Now, today, by the grace of God, I'm a father, and my children also learn to forgive whenever maybe I am wrong, because they see me implementing that love. And one of the things is that to forgive and to show love. Because most time we feel like, yes, our son and our daughter has offended me. So as a father, if you are not going to apologize, I disown you. Most fathers disown their children because of the behavior of their children. But there's a proverb we normally say in Ghana here: when a child poo-poo on your lap, will you cut off the child or will you cut off your lap? You must learn to clean the mess. So whenever our children are going through something, being a father, we must learn to cleanse the mess and to put things in order to make your fatherhood example to the children, that when they also grow up, they will be able to implement what they learn from you as a father. So we must stop this condemning, accusations and allegations and all these things. We must try to avoid all these things and to able to show care, learns for them also to learn, because whatever we do is what they see and is what they learn from. Thank you very much.
Gotcha. Okay, Dr. Charles, we will try you again.
Right. Okay, so thank you. So I was saying the greatest way, in my opinion, of mending the bridge of fatherhood is the permission and the grace for open, free, fair communication between generations or between fathers and their children. So one of the great things I have learned in life is that a lot of us, or every one of us, has our opinions on what a situation is. But if we took the time to let the other party communicate how they feel, and then we took the time to really understand where they're coming from and why they have these biases or prejudices, we will be able to meet in the middle of the road. And of course, like Chaplain Mensah mentioned, a lot of us are carrying around wounds and baggage from the inactions or the actions of our fathers. The first place to start for your own mental health, for your own wholeness, for your own clarity is to forgive. I learned to do this. You understand that people can only give what they have. For a lot of our fathers, they did not have, the kind of covering or mentoring that a father should provide. So they were, obviously bereft of what it means to be a father and couldn't communicate this to us. But that generation is blessed with a lot of information. We have a lot of role models. We have a lot of mentors that we can learn from. And I must commend His Excellency, Dr. Willis Eubanks. When I see him with his family, it really inspires me. There's no competition, he's happy to be where he is. And this goes both ways, because I believe his family also makes him know that you are the head. There's nothing competing or threatening that position. So if we can all, make the other feel comfortable in who they are, I believe the relationships, between fathers and their children in the Black community will get smoother and better.
Thank you. So, Dr. Eubanks?
I'll be brief, but I want to say really there's a lot of wisdom on this complete panel. I look forward to going back and taking some notes and trying to implement them. One of the things that I did, I married early. I married my wife. I was 23. She was 22. Would I advise that today? Maybe not. But I think that no matter when you marry, if you marry the right person, it doesn't matter if you're 70, it doesn't matter if you're 20, it doesn't matter if you're 30. And I think, I married the right woman for sure. And I think we both, agree to that. But I'm saying that to say that when at the age of 20, she was 22, she got to go to law school after teaching for 5 years. So I went to Washington, D.C. The first thing I did, I'd heard about this organization called Concerned Black Men, 100 Concerned Black Men. And I was actually looking for the founder, and I apologize being on the phone, but the founder actually became the Attorney General under the Obama administration, okay? And he was kind of a local hero. And what we did as a Concerned Black Men, we adopted an elementary school, a middle school. These were in the District of Columbia. We also, I volunteered every Wednesday to go down to the homeless shelter. And, and so I would tutor those kids that were homeless. That was really tough. I was about 27, 28 years old when I did that. And the reason I did it was I said, if I can go down here and maybe be a good person, a good pretend father, that it will give me practice, that when I become a father, I'll be a real father. Because again, my father was never a father to me. My mom is my father and my mother. We used to sometimes give her Father's Day cards because she was the one that became the den leader. When we wanted to join the Cub Scouts, she was the one that volunteered to be the den leader, substituting for the men. So what I'd like to challenge everybody to do is to do something in the community that makes you feel good. You could do it once a month, but go to the volunteer to sit in the kids' lunch. They're gonna wonder, who are you? Right? And you may not be related to anyone there, but just be yourself. I'm here. I want to hear your concerns. I want to hear your ideas. That would mean so much to that little kid. You won't believe it. Even the times I look back, when Concerned Black Men, we would go in once a week, do tutoring at the middle school, high school, homeless shelters. I can't tell you, of volunteering for those couple of hours, a couple of months, over a couple of years has helped me, by giving. I got so much in return. And I asked God, I said, since my father isn't in my life, what can I do to become a better father before I became a father, And those are the kinds of things that I've done. And so I want to challenge everyone. You may not have 100 Concerned Black Men in your neighborhood. They're in every state, by the way. But there is an elementary school, there is a middle school, there is a high school. Volunteer, just their presence means so much. So I challenge everyone here, I challenge everyone that's listening to do that. And you never know the impact that you might have on that little kid. And what you'll realize is it actually will do more for your spirit and give you hope to hear their dreams. It touches, I don't know those kids in Texas, but every time I hear about their dream, one wanted to be a microbiologist, one wanted to be a marine biologist, one wanted to be a school teacher, another one wanted to be a dancer, and all that's wiped away, But those kids are still thinking that way. I'm saying that to say those kids are thinking. So any involvement that you can do, even if it's once a month, it will do so much for your own spirit, but it would do so much for others just to listen. A lot of that is just 80% listening. And so anyway, that's my suggestion.
Thank you, Dr. Wood. So I just want to thank everybody the opportunity for being on this panel. I think we discussed a lot of things, and I think all of our hearts is in the place of really trying to make a difference in our community. I think somebody said that the political world is another whole ball game, but we can start implementing stuff locally, like Dr. Eubanks just said, get involved in the community locally on a local level, and start pushing for some changes for the administration to start doing some, and I share this real quickly. When my daughter got pregnant with my grandson, they gave her a lot of resources, opportunity to go back to school, they Medicaid, all stuff that she needed, which was good, and I enjoyed that. But they didn't give the guy that got her pregnant any kind of resources. They told him to go get a job, rightfully so. You got a child now, you get a job. But suppose they would have gave him an opportunity to go to school. Suppose they would have gave him a grant to better his life. How much better could he now be prepared to be a father financially than just go get a job at McDonald's? My daughter decided to be a nurse. Now she's making decent money because they gave her childcare and the resource that she needed to go be a nurse. Why don't they offer the same thing to the father, to the man? Ability to go back to school to better himself. So those are the things that we got to fight on a political level. The powers that be to say we got to start investing some resources into these fathers, and by getting qualified fatherhood programs that's evidence based, that that's doing the work after. We don't need the government to do the work. Just give us the resources to do the work. We could do the work. We just need the resources to be able to offer these fathers the same opportunity that we did to mom. So that's what we got to advocate for, and that's why I really want to be a part of GODSU, so we can start advocating. I know you guys got a platform which I didn't know anything about, but now I'm reading up all about the platform that you guys have gotten. It's amazing, and I think we can make some difference in that arena by coming up with some good bona fide, some answers to the problem.
No, I just can I add one more thing to what you just said, Dr. Warren, and this is a challenge for all of us to work together. You got a really good point. One of the things, one of our goals is to teach the middle and high school students that they don't necessarily have to go to college. If they want to go in computers and IT, we can give them a foundation. And what I'd like to do is I just say this publicly, because you got to speak it into existence. Let's all work together and create a platform that we can help middle high school students, especially the males,
Yes.
get training. And I'm happy to lend whatever I can to make that happen through GODSU with the IT that we're doing. So I see that, you
Yeah.
brought up a really good point, and let's do that. Let's make that happen. I can see it happening all over the world and happening in Ghana and Nigeria, as well as Virginia and New York. So let's work together and make it happen.
Create something for these young fathers, that
Yes.
opportunity to better themselves. So that's the conversation that I hope we're gonna have a whole lot more of.
Yes,
Not
sir.
just talking about it, but really producing it and coming up with some, real hands-on solutions. Just take the vision that God given us and work it out, and put some feet
Yes.
to the ideals. And
Yes.
that takes time, it takes wisdom, but we got it and we can do it. So I really, again, thanks for the opportunity to be able to moderate this discussion. The panel was excellent. You guys got some good points. I really appreciate everything that you guys have said. And at this time, I turn it back over to Mr. DeCarl.
Awesome. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. I want you all to like, subscribe, comment, and share. And stay tuned. We have some more messages that follow. I'd love to see you tomorrow morning, as we do have our God Success Teach and Pray every day. And I look forward to seeing you next week on our Wednesday Icon Talk. Thank you.